Hey guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. I have Hammonds here with me, and we are here to do a game day pick'em, Omaha College World Series edition. All right, guys, welcome back. It's Brad with College SportsCast. I have John Hammonds on here with me. What's up, Hammonds? You're muted.
Oh, I'm sorry. What's up, man?
There you go. Hey, Hammonds is not a mute anymore.
I'm not a mute. Nope.
All right, man. I feel like I'm going to be Peyton Manning tonight. Omaha. I'm just going to yell it.
Omaha.
Yeah. Whenever I can, I'm just Omaha. I'm just going to yell it.
Omaha. Yeah. Speaking of Peyton Manning, do you remember when him and Tim Couch played in that game back, was it early 96, 97, and they broke records for yardage in the game?
Yeah.
Tennessee actually they whipped us, but at the end of the day, I thought
they doubled the score on us, I think.
I thought that was pretty I thought that was pretty neat that they broke the record during that time. That was them the good old days.
But every time I hear Omaha, I think of Peyton Manning. I don't know. I watched him an awful lot over the years, so you know.
Yeah, I did too.
Yeah. All right, so let's get started with our Facebook page. We are getting very close to 2,500, guys. Help us spread the word to get us to 2,500 soon. That would be fantastic. All of you guys that are helping us grow on Facebook, you can help support us by sending stars. If you send us stars, it helps us earn money to keep doing this content for you guys. Also, you can subscribe now to our page. It's 99 cents a month, not a day, not a week, a month, 99 cents, and you get access to a College SportsCast subscriber page. I do make post on that. It is just for you guys who subscribe, and that also helps us earn money to keep doing content for you guys.
It's the deal of the century.
Yep, the deal of the century right there. Also, man, if you are on YouTube, help us grow on YouTube. We're trying to build YouTube, and the last thing I want to bring up is season 3. We are going to be full featured on the Real Fresh channel. We have been on the Real Fresh channel for almost 2 years now on our Sunday shows. But every show we do is going to be on the Real Fresh channel, and that is a YouTube channel as well, guys. Hit the Real Fresh channel and hit that like, hit that subscribe. Do that for us, College SportsCast, and the Real Fresh channel.
Speaking of the new season, we have that season thing with the fanboys. I have not been able to get up with our interviewer, the guy that we're supposed to interview. I have not been able to get up with him, so I don't know yet what's going on with that. But I will keep you posted. He's been kind of silent on Twitter recently, so
yeah.
If things comes to worse, we can always, just do a show.
Might have something else in the works to try to do something with that as well. Okay. I'm not going to give away any secrets because it's not set yet. So, but I might have something else in the works for our special. What he's talking about, guys, we're going to be doing a special the Fanboys Season 3 kickoff. We did one last year for Season 2. We're going to open the kickoff on Saturday, and we're going to close it on Sunday. So we need 2 episodes here to do the Season 3 kickoff. Might have something kind of special for you guys lined up if I can get it to come through. So we'll see, but I'm working on something that would be pretty neat. It'd be pretty neat for me as well. But I am working on something. All right. So that is a couple of things real quick to kind of get us started. The last thing that I will say before we get started with Omaha in the College World Series is I'm going to scroll this at the bottom of the screen. This is College SportsCast Game Day Pick'em. We're doing the NCAA Baseball Omaha College World Series edition here. And like I said, we are part of the Fanboys, featured on the Real Fresh channel and WSBN TV. That you can find us on Roku. All you got to do is download the BoxCast app, Apple TV, Roku, Fire TV. You can find us on that. True Victory. It's on the bottom. I've got a True Victory shirt on here tonight, guys. True Victory is a veteran brand, sporting veteran brand, and they are owned by veterans, and they help support the veterans and first responders as well. And anything that you can buy, check their website out, truevictory.com. Use the Fanboys for a 15% discount. That'll help us. It'll help veterans and first responders as well. So check them out. They do great stuff. Like I said, this is one of their shirts, but they have lots of different ones. Paul Skeens, baseball guy from last year, Omaha College World Series, is one of their featured athletes at True Victory. You can check it out. He has a whole page and gear from True Victory. So it's really cool stuff. Check them out. Use the Fanboys for a 15% discount. All right, John. Kentucky is in the College World Series, man.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, you know, somewhat
we ain't
surprising.
Talking basketball here, guys, and we're not talking football either. We're talking Kentucky baseball.
Yeah, and somewhat surprisingly, you know, the Wildcats have never been here, so this will be a unique trip for them. Now, NC State has, and I'll say this about NC State: they was the last time they was
NC State.
Well, and the last time that they was there, they was one win away from going and had COVID positive show up. If anybody remembers when we was going through the pandemic, they had some positive show up and they had to leave the tournament. So they would like to erase a lot of that, a lot of those memories from their mind. You know, Kentucky relies, to me, they're a very small ball team. They rely on defense. They rely on, you know, bunting. And I think this plays into their game in Omaha, the way the stadium is. And I think Kentucky will do really well here.
Speaking of the stadium, so Kentucky baseball arrived today, and they took a broad picture of the stadium and how many people it holds. I don't know if you know, but I mean, it's like 20,000 or 22,000 or might even be 25. It's way up there for a baseball stadium. It's magnificent. And I mean, they took a broad and a picture of it and just talking about just how special it is to be and get to play at Omaha, Nebraska.
Well, and another key fact that, you know, going into the College World Series, Kentucky leads the College World Series field with 118 stolen bases. with Petrie and Waldschmidt.
Yep.
They're their main guys.
But they have speed all throughout the lineup. I mean,
I'm going to tell you something. Mitchell Daly might be one of the most underrated third basemen.
And Mitchell Daly has Omaha experience, by the way.
He does.
He does. He transferred in. He has Omaha experience. He is one of the few, maybe the only, I'm not sure, but he is one of the few that has Omaha experience in that Kentucky lineup at third base.
I'll say this about Mitchell Daly real quick, though. If it had not been for one of his plays in the last game, Kentucky might.
That play at the end, the second out in the ninth inning at the hot corner, his dive, scoop, bounce up territory line.
And two, that changed everything. That changed everything because I think the next batter they walked, and then the other guy hit a base hit down the line. Yep. That probably ties the game up, or maybe even takes the lead. And that changes the whole complexion of that baseball game. And
absolutely. He made an amazing play, but I'm going to give it up, man. Kentucky made some amazing plays all night long. Grant Smith made an amazing catch, across the middle there. I think that might have been in the eighth inning, the inning before that. And then you've got, this Kentucky baseball, is known for stealing bases, sacrifice bunts, squeeze plays, sacrifice flies, manufacturing.
It's a fun style of baseball.
All right. Kentucky baseball is known for that. Of course, this team, if you don't know, guys, this team can hit the long ball. You got Ryan Nicholson there. You got Ryan Waldschmidt. There are guys that can hit the long ball. Nick Lopez, he's the cleanup guy. There are guys that can hit the long ball in this one too. But the way, and I know, John, you are a Reds fan, and you're going to appreciate this. The McCarthy play from second base on a wild pitch to go up 3-2 at home in the Super Regionals and base. But the Charlie Hustle play at the plate, diving to the plate and beating the pitcher home. It's just Kentucky baseball, man. He is literally flying through the air to get to home base, to home plate, and
picture perfect, like Pete Rose did. The hustle play.
I'm telling you, it's Charlie Hustle. If you haven't seen it and you're a baseball fan, you absolutely need to watch this play. It's an amazing play on a wild pitch to score from second base, not from third, from second. I'm telling you, it reminds me so much of Charlie Hustle. If you don't know, that was one of Pete Rose's nicknames.
Yep.
And as a Cincinnati Reds fan, I know, John, you can appreciate that.
Yeah, I do. I appreciate it.
It was an amazing play. Had to bring it up.
Now that the Reds have one of their own. Well, he's kind of scuffling at the plate lately, but Ellie De La Cruz, he's a little bit like that, like hustles and goes and does. The Reds have had some good guys.
He's really fast.
He's fast as lightning.
But Kentucky's just heads up, kind of like Pete Rose was.
Here's
Pete
another
Rose
thing too. On the other side of this, who is having a better year in athletics than NC State? Both of their women's and men's team went to the Final Four. Now they're in the College World Series.
They're one of only 3 teams ever. Listen to this. They're one of only 3 teams ever in the same calendar year to make a bowl game in football make both the Final Fours in men's and women's basketball, and make the College World Series in baseball. It's only happened 3 times. NC State is one of them in the same calendar year, 2024. Pretty amazing.
Shout out Justin, the fanboys.
Absolutely.
Justin.
You have to give it to them. You have to give it to them. They are having
Justin?
an outstanding year.
Is it Justin? That's who it is. Justin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shout out Justin.
Rice. Yeah.
Justin Rice, man. I'm gonna tell you, y'all are having an unbelievable year. I just wanted to say, since we're on the same team here, we're not going to be on the same team this weekend, but at the same time, I wish you all the best. Y'all have had a really great team, and we've had a good team. And it's
outside of Saturday, y'all can win some games, and but I do want to beat you on Saturday. But
yeah, we do. We want to win Saturday. So
all right, so we're down to 8 teams here. The College World Series. That's who goes is 8 teams. It is an ACC SEC showdown. There are 4 SEC teams and 4 ACC teams. This is the first time that's ever happened. SEC has had 4 teams before, but there's never been 2 conferences represented with 4 teams like that before. 4 is the max ever.
And then on top of that,
happened where it's.
Then on top of that, you got 2 ACC teams going at it. In North Carolina and Virginia, they're playing head to head. So, and then you got 2 SEC teams going at it.
Yeah, there's 4. So there's one side with 1 SEC team and 3 ACC, and then the other side has 3 SEC and 1 ACC. So it's just the opposite from one side of the bracket to the other. But there are 4 SEC and 4 ACC teams in the College World Series. And we're going to start with what I think John might think is one of the tougher games in the College World Series. And we're going to start with FSU versus Tennessee. FSU is the 8th overall seed, and Tennessee is the number 1 overall seed. I got to start by saying this. In 25 years now, the number 1 overall seed has only won the College World Series 1 time since 1999. That was Miami 25 years ago in 1999. Yep. It has not been done since.
And Tennessee is one of only 2 teams that need a 3rd game to prevail in its super regional. So
yes,
and they've had some.
They lost the game to Evansville and needed a third game.
And I'm going to say this: Florida State has a really good starter in Jamie Arnold. He's 11-3, has a 2.77 ERA. To me, I'm guessing he probably will take the game 1 against Tennessee. He's a really good pitcher. This Tennessee lineup can score. And the Vols, to me, I think they have
got 2 of the best players in the field with Billy Amick and Christian.
Yeah. Now, do they have the arms to win? I think they do, but they don't have a really true ace to me.
They don't.
They just have a luxury of guys.
They rely on scoring 8 or 10 runs a game, at least.
They do. And I think this Florida State team is very good. I will say this about their past. They've had a lot of heartbreak at Omaha. FSU has. It's well documented. the times they've been there and things.
Tony the Tiger, that's what I nickname Tennessee's coach. He has had a heck of a career at Tennessee so far. He has gotten them there before. But I want to remind everybody, Tennessee's never won a College World Series either.
And they also haven't been to the Final Four in college basketball too. Can I say that on? Can I say that?
Speaking of, that means Kentucky baseball made the College World Series before Tennessee basketball made a Final Four.
I'm actually just joshing on here. I'm Tennessee fans don't take me serious, Tennessee fans. I'm just acting foolish.
However, you got Tennessee and FSU here in this round. I think this is going to be a game to watch out of these first four. And first four games. I'm not talking about the frozen first four in the hockey here. I'm not talking about that, guys. But in the first four games here, I think this is going to be a game to watch. FSU can challenge this Tennessee team, I believe.
They can. Connecticut was a really good team, and in the first game, FSU they put it on 24-4.
24-4. And they, like you said, they have a Class A starter. And Tennessee really doesn't. I mean, they have good starters, good pitching. I'm not going to say they don't, but I don't think. Yeah, but I don't think you can put them in the top four teams pitching wise out of these teams. I just don't feel like you can. FSU may be one of the top four pitching wise. So that's the first game. We'll kind of go through these, and then we'll go back and make some picks. The second game, these are the Friday games, guys. These are played on the 14th, the Tennessee FSU and number 12 Virginia at 4, or not at, it's versus, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to put that in there, but it's versus number 4 North Carolina. This is in Omaha. This is not at North Carolina.
Well, and in this series, the Cavaliers took 2 out of 3 from the Tar Heels back. I think it was early April in Charlottesville. North Carolina has improved since then. They've won on 3 of their last 4 at bats in this tournament. They've had the clutch gene in them. This tournament.
The Honeycutt guy is the one that's been carrying them.
Yeah, Vance Honeycutt. Yeah, Vance Honeycutt's really good. I think
Honeycutt,
he's, to me,
last name. Yeah.
I feel like he's the most overall round player in this whole tournament. And that could work to UNC's advantage, I think, especially in a game setting like this.
Yeah, I mean, the Honeycutt kid has been he absolutely carried them through in the victory, that 2-1 game. He hit the home run, the winning home run, the game before. I mean, he actually carried North Carolina through, and they won 2-1. He scored the runs. I mean, so
that's not to take away from Virginia. They got a lot of key contributors back from a year ago. They got a lot of guys that they brought back, and they're still a good baseball team. Don't get to
this Virginia team, they took down Mississippi State in the regionals. Kansas State is no slouch. They had a really good team last year, a good team this year. And I mean, they took them down with ease, really. I mean, they won 7-4 and 10-4 in 2 games versus this K-State team.
Well, and say this.
North Carolina had to have some heroics for 1-run games.
Well, and I'll say this to say this. You just don't get to Omaha by accident. You got to be pretty good. And so, all eight teams here, they've had to do some work to get to Omaha and be good. And Virginia is one of those teams, and North Carolina is one of those teams. And one of these teams is not going to be a champion. Somebody's going to be knocked out.
I mean, these first games, this is a double elimination. So you can move on if you lose this game. This doesn't knock you out. The next day would knock you out, or 2 days later, actually, because there's a Saturday. The next games are, and then it's Sunday and Monday. So these would be Friday and Sunday games. The winner and losers would play on Sunday. And then, John, you get NC State, number 10, versus number 2, Kentucky. These are the Saturday games. And like I said, these games will be played Saturday and Monday. There's a day of rest in between.
Well, and I said about this Kentucky team, I said this at the start of the show. They rely on defense. They rely on.
Is Poozer our starter here? You think Poozer's our starter?
I think he's the main guy. I think he is first game, because I think you need to get this first game, because you don't want to have to go into Sunday or Monday and have to play a loser elimination game, because that puts a lot.
This first win is
it's crucial.
I mean, it doesn't knock you out, but man, it sure puts you behind the 8 ball.
It puts you behind, and a loss the next day, and you're playing for a single elimination game, and it's over. So it's a big deal for both of these teams. Like I said, I told you earlier before the show started, Kentucky relies a lot on defense, bunts, sacrifice flies, stealing bases.
I'm going to give you a name. I'm going to give you a name that has to show up in Omaha. And I don't mean anything bad by this, but Ryan Walsmith, who is a projected first rounder in the late June draft here, okay, in the MLB draft. He's a projected first rounder. He's batted around 350, 360 all year long. All year long. He struggled in the supers.
Yeah,
he went hitless.
He didn't have the greatest super regions.
He went hitless in the supers, in the super round, super regionals. And he's got to find his bat at Omaha. Kentucky is against this, the top competition here with these teams that have made it this far. They're going to need Ryan Waldsmith to show up and get on base. He's their leading on base guy. He's their leadoff hitter, and Kentucky's going to need him. He did draw a couple of walks. It's not like he didn't get on base at all in the supers, but he did go hitless in the supers.
Yeah, and like I said, this park, Omaha, it fits what Kentucky likes to do with their style of play of baseball. The way they run, the way they steal bases, the way they do things. And
I snuck off and went to supers. So,
somebody snuck off and didn't tell nobody.
I did get to see a game here at the supers, and everybody else. I mean, you go down the line to McCarthy, you go down the line to Nick Lopez on he really showed up, had a couple of doubles. Ryan Nicholson had a home run over the weekend. So the big names for Kentucky showed up and played really well, including some pitching with Poozer and even Mason Moore, even though he struggled a little bit with throwing strikes in the 4th or 5th inning.
Logan's been pitching really well too. I felt like he's been pitching.
Except for Ryan Walsmith. And Walsmith has been one of their leaders. Like I said, he's a projected first rounder, and he has to show up big here at Omaha for Kentucky to make a run and have a shot to win this thing. Ryan Walsmith.
I'll say this too on NC State side before we move on. Name to watch would be Garrett Pennington. He's as formidable as anybody. I mean, he can flat rate. This NC State team is no slouch. They beat a really good Georgia team, and
they did.
They're here for a reason. So give NC State their props.
And they also had a SEC team in their regional round as well, and knocked them out as well, or helped So, this is a very good team. This is a team who has been here before, and Kentucky has not. So you might have to see some jitters first inning or two for Kentucky. The pressure's on, being in Omaha, being in that big field, the big stadium, all the fans, the limelight and everything, knowing where you are at the College World Series. Let's just hope there's not some early jitters for Kentucky in this game and NC State takes advantage, because it could happen. All right. Then we got the one lone team that was not ranked in the top 16 seeds, and that is Florida, who made the College World Series. But their return, they were in the finals last year versus LSU. And they are back with Jack Caglione. By the way, is murdering the ball, by the way. And they're playing number 3 Texas A&M.
Yeah, and Florida got hot at the right time. They started out really well, and then they had that mid-season slump that almost kept them plumb out of the NCAA tournament completely.
They did,
and all of a sudden now you go from not making the tournament to actually being in Omaha. That's impressive. Yep. Jack Caglione.
It is. And Jack Caglione's been there.
Jack Caglione's probably going to be a top 5 pick. Let's just get it out there while we're here. He's going to be a top.
He's not. I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah.
But here's the problem I have with the Gators.
I do have to mention that Texas A&M lost one of their better players in the Supers. I think it's Burlington. I can't remember exactly. I think that's his name. I should have looked that up so I would know and not look like a dumbass. But anyway,
it was Braden Montgomery, so it was
Montgomery. Okay.
Yeah, because he had the home plate collision.
It was at home plate. And he tore up his meniscus or something.
He had an ankle fracture. Yeah, that's what it was.
Ankle fracture. It was at home plate. I've seen the play in a replay. He's done. He's out.
Well,
he is one of 2 of their better players.
Well, and on the other side of the thing, Florida's got a good hitting team. But what concerns me about Florida is the lack of consistency in pitching. They haven't had.
Yeah, they give up some runs. Yeah.
And they play in a lot of, if you've noticed some of their games, they played in a lot of shootouts in this tournament. They've had a lot of games where they've won 11-9, 8-7. The Clemson game was one of the best games that I've watched in quite a while. The over-the-shoulder catch.
Very Clemson was close and tough.
Clemson was a really good team too, and Clemson's almost nearly got to Omaha. So, at the same time,
myself here, John. I put out a post last Friday morning for GameDay Pick'ems because we didn't do GameDay Pick'ems last week before the Supers. I put out a post on Facebook and X, Twitter, and I picked all 8 of these Omaha winners correct. All 8. Also, the first game winners in the Supers, I picked all 8 correct, and then I got all 8 winners correct. So, and I've got to give myself a little bit of pride.
We was talking about Jack Caglione. Here's what I want to say real quick. Cincinnati, if you're listening and you have a good opportunity to pick him up in that MLB draft, Cincinnati Reds.
He's a two-way player, pitcher, and can kill the ball.
He's
And
more of a.
there are others. You got Travis Pizzana, who we played last week, who is a
he's
spectacular hitter. You got Charlie Condon. You got Hayden Smith. You got Chase Burns. I mean, there's some names in the top 5. So we'll see how that plays out. But there are some names in the top 5 there. I threw those 5 out just off the top of my head.
I think the Oregon State
kid.
I think the Oregon State guy is probably going to go number 1 overall, and just my opinion.
Pizzana. Travis Pizzana.
He's probably going to go number 1.
He's up there as well.
You know what's crazy is he never really had a great series against Kentucky. I mean, he had that one double,
Kentucky
but
actually held him in check. But I'm gonna tell you, nobody done that all year long. Kentucky's pitching was right up there. So, all right, John, I'm gonna put you on the spot. Tennessee FSU game 1. Who you got?
I think I'm gonna go FSU first game. I think they take the first one. And I think Tennessee has to.
As much as I don't want to do it, and I'll go like that, Tennessee is really impressive. And I do think the FSU has a shot here, but I think I'm going to go Tennessee game 1 at Omaha. Game 2 at Omaha will be Friday night. That's Virginia and North Carolina. Who you got in this one?
I think I'm going to take North Carolina. I've watched them play, and I think that they've made some progress since early April, and they're playing.
I'm going to say this: I think the magic runs out, and I think the Cavaliers beat them in game 1 here, or game 1 at Omaha. Doesn't mean North Carolina is out, but I think the magic runs out here because they've had like 3 or 4 game winners in the regional super rounds.
They've been very lucky to not be knocked out. Yeah.
They've been very lucky to not be knocked out already. I think the magic runs out. I'm going to go Virginia in this one. And then, of course, we got NC State and Kentucky.
I think Kentucky wins the first one.
Or game 3, first game on Saturday.
I think Kentucky wins this one, especially if Boozer starts. I think he's their main cog guy. I think he's the thing.
I think if Boozer is on, Kentucky wins, and I'm going to go with that. If he gets rattled because of being at Omaha, I mean, listen, it can happen, and if it does, at least I said on the show that early jitters could cost them this game, but I'm going to say that they're ready for the stage, and Boozer keeps them in the game, and Kentucky wins this one. That's what I'm going to say. All right, then we got Florida and Texas A&M. That's the nightcap on Saturday.
I actually like Florida in this game, and I just feel like the magic's going to continue. I'm kind of leaning the same way. I picked Florida, even though most didn't in the regionals. I'll say Florida over Clemson. I picked Florida over Clemson in the supers, even though we got some fanboys that are all Clemson, and they were giving me a hard time because I picked Florida. At least it was a close series, and Clemson was right there, and I knew it was going to be difficult. Guess what? This will too. But I feel like Caglione and this Florida team is on a run, on a mission here. Well, and I'll say this about
I'm going to take Florida.
Caglione's got a little bit of dog in him, buddy. He's had some run-ins with teams,
Yeah, he does.
Super regions. I think there was one play where one guy pushed him and he pushed him back. He's got a little bit of aggressiveness in him. I like that about Jack.
He does. All right, so you got the 4 teams on Friday. You got the 4 teams on Saturday. I got to ask you before we go off tonight, I got to ask you, who is going to make it to the championship series next weekend? All this week, you got games all the way up to Tuesday or Wednesday, actually Wednesday or Thursday, depending on how many games play out.
How many games are played out.
All this week will settle the championship series, what takes place next Saturday, Sunday, and possibly Monday. If there's a game 3, it's the best 2 out of 3 series. You got Tennessee, Florida State, Virginia, North Carolina on one side, and you got Kentucky, NC State, Florida, and Texas A&M on the other side. What 2 teams are going to play for the national championship next weekend?
This is tough because Florida is playing as good as anybody. Because I said
they are, and they're going to be a tough out.
Before we got here, I said Florida. I wouldn't be shocked if they actually won this whole thing, because they're playing as good as anybody. Tennessee is really good with Christian Moore. They got a really good team. Tony Vitello is one of the best coaches, I think. Yeah, I mean they're just solid all the way down. Tennessee is. FSU is I wouldn't say they're a Cinderella, but they're a team that
they're the challenger. I think and this Virginia team is no slouch. And Virginia's I know tough. North Carolina is ranked 4, but if I was picking, that would be my order in the top.
Well, and Virginia beat a good Mississippi State team. Mississippi State should have been here, I thought.
They were on fire.
They was playing as good as anybody, and just kind of lagged off in the tournament. But when it comes down to it,
okay, John, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it, and everybody's going to. If this happens, it's going to be a wild championship series in this region, in the SEC, in this region. It's going to be a wild championship series. As much as I think that Florida could make a run here, I'm going Kentucky, Tennessee in the championship here for the championship series next weekend. And there's a little bit of homer for me in this pick, okay? But I really like this Kentucky team. I really like this Florida team. I think A&M being without the Montgomery kid maybe takes them down a notch here. And
there's only a couple things.
And I know Justin's going to say I'm sleeping on NC State. I'm a homer. I say it's a homer pick, okay? NC State may be the team that gets through this thing. I don't know. But I got to go with my Cats here in game 1. If they can do that, then they have a major advantage over NC State right off the bat. And getting past Caglione, if it happens, is going to be tough. I mean, tough if it happens. The 2 teams that I think could challenge Tennessee is FSU in that first game, like you said, and maybe Virginia. That would be the teams that I would consider challenge them. FSU got a bunch of hitters too, and some pitching, so that could be a game, a series to watch. But I'm gonna tell you right now, man, the blood and the hatred between Tennessee and Kentucky. If this is a championship series for the national title at Omaha in baseball, we're not talking about basketball or football here. It's going to be the talk of the South if it happens.
And I'll tell you this much too.
You're muted, man.
I'm unmuted. But and another thing that this adds to is recruiting. Kentucky getting here will just help their recruiting that much more.
They've already landed 2 or 3 transfers.
I think they landed one from Canisius, I think, this past week, maybe a week ago. The only thing that really one major thing that concerns me about Kentucky and Omaha is you said it earlier, is the bright lights. That's one of them.
Yep.
Second one is their bullpen.
It is. And that first game, I mean, that first inning or two, if they come out with some jitters, man, it could cost them right off the bat.
And the second one, like I said, was their bullpen. Their bullpen has been known to be kind of shaky.
And I said that. I've been saying that for weeks. But in the NCAA tournament so far, there's only been a game or two where they even had to go like deep into their bullpen.
Yeah,
and Kentucky pitching is what's got them.
Well, they've actually pitched the best I've seen them pitch all year long. And most of that started when they.
And that's got to continue if they're going to do what I just said, because Florida's right there. This NC State team will take advantage if they come out with those.
Well, and I'll tell you something else too. I think a lot of that started. I think a lot of their bullpen getting better was when they started playing when they played Arkansas, Vanderbilt. It was getting a lot better towards the end of the year, and it just kind of they had that little run in with South Carolina, which South Carolina was.
All right, I got to know here. You got to take a pick here. Who's your two teams that's coming out?
I think when it's all said and done, I think it's going to be Kentucky and Tennessee playing for the national championship. It's just who I think it's going to be, and we're liable to see some
if
very.
It is, I cannot wait.
The meme
cannot wait.
The memes. The
Do you
fighting.
know? Just Kentucky, but what it would mean to each first national championship in baseball. Hey, listen, I'm not talking about just on Kentucky's side here, man. It would mean just as much to these Tennessee Vol fans.
Yeah, it's a big deal about
absolutely. I know that. Absolutely. To get that one up notch on the other hated rival, because that's what it is here, guys. To get that one up notch against the other for a national title, I'm telling you, if it happens,
who's waiting for the exact moment for something to go down. Robert McVall. The one that has the Denzel Washington memes.
Yeah.
There's nobody that will be more elated than that guy. That's a good. Actually,
I'm telling you,
that's a good friend.
He's a good friend. Brutal. If you're a Kentucky fan and they get the best of us in a championship series, it's going to be brutal. You can just mark it down. It's going to be brutal. However, if Kentucky wins and gets the best of them, it's going to be brutal for them.
Well, because you got, Tennessee, they'll be saying, well, we own Kentucky in every athletic thing. It's just going to be the same garb that repeats itself. And Kentucky's probably going to do the same thing when it comes to things like that too. So should be interesting. But speaking of Robert, Robert's a real good friend of mine. Shout out Robert McVall. If nobody knows who Robert McVall is, go follow him on Twitter. He's just a troll. He just does it to have a good time. He does Kentucky fans, Florida fans, and he'll post a Denzel Washington meme. And what's he usually put? He puts, "That's not a good decision, man. That's not a good decision." Like if somebody commits somewhere else, so like that's not a good decision.
There's several of them. But listen,
he's something else.
I think Virginia and FSU on the other side are teams to watch. I also think this Florida team is a team to watch. And I would have said Texas A&M. I think the Montgomery kid being out is going to second. One of their top two best players is going to hurt them a lot here. They still have a really good home run guy, but I mean, we'll see. And they have great pitching too. So, I mean, they're not out of it here, okay? And this Texas A&M Florida game could go either one way.
I'll just say this before we kind of get off here for the night, but I said it earlier. I know I picked Kentucky to go to the championship, right? I just don't see how Florida, if they're playing the way they are, how they don't get there. And to me, it's going to be a tough challenge.
It's going to take some awful spelling, and I think Kentucky can do it. They went to Gainesville this year and won 2 out of 3 in Gainesville. They've done it once, I think, and this wasn't at home. This was in Gainesville. So, I mean, they did get the best of Florida in a 3-game series, 2 out of 3. So they've done it this year.
Well, the biggest thing
should have that confidence.
The biggest thing with this whole bracket is how does Kentucky come out? Like Florida's been here, Tennessee's been here. FSU, it's all about experience and knowing where you're at. And if Kentucky gets tore up,
Texas A&M. I mean, every other team has been here before, except for Kentucky.
Well, and if Kentucky gets tore up and can't do what they normally do, it could unravel quickly. Yeah.
I mean, in 2 or 3 innings, you could give up a 10 spot. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it could be over pretty quick. I'm not saying that Kentucky can't fight back, but, I mean, in Omaha, you give up 8 or 10 runs in 1 inning, the likelihood that you fight back and win from that is pretty small.
Well, yeah, because the way the park's set up.
Because you have all the pressure. You have all the pressure, all the limelight of Omaha, and doing that on the biggest stage, and trying to fight through it during the same game.
And the park is not set up for comebacks, I don't think. In certain instances, for me, I've always considered Omaha to be more of a major league type park. And those can be tough.
My picks are, like I said, I fully admit it. My picks are a little homer here, and rival. That's my picks. That's what I would like to see. So that's why I'm picking it. Do I think there's other possibilities? Do I think NC State could take advantage of Kentucky's jitterbugs early? Absolutely. I think they could. So we'll see what happens. I'm hoping Poozer settles them in nicely and gets 2 or 3 strikeouts in the first couple of innings and settles them in nicely, and Kentucky can play ball like they normally do. That's what I'm hoping happens on Saturday, and we'll see what happens from there. But that's how I'm picking things. I did pretty well early in our last week with my picks. We'll see how I do here. We each picked the first game of Omaha, and then we picked a winner on each side of the bracket advancing to the finals. What we will do is next week, because it starts on Saturday, the final series, we'll do a breakdown of the 2 teams that advance, and we will make some championship series picks next week. We are getting close, guys, to wrapping up season 2. College baseball here is kind of it. This is the final few episodes. We will do this. We will possibly do another show midweek or so, because we will not do the weekend thing, because it will not be over on the weekend. It won't be over till Tuesday or Wednesday at the earliest, maybe Thursday, before we know the 2 teams. So we will do something midweek, And then we will do something and do a wrap-up show for the season after the championship series. And that will wrap up season 3. We're getting real close here. We go from football.
You mean season 2? You mean season
2. I'm sorry. Yes, that'll wrap up season 2. I'm sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Yes, season 2. That'll wrap up. So we start with football in August, and we go from football to basketball. And as you guys know, I'm covering women's basketball as well. So we do that and cover that as well. And then we are doing baseball. We covered a little bit of Omaha on the girls softball as well, and talked about that here on the show. We don't do as much softball coverage, but we do talk about Omaha and some of the better teams and stuff. So we did do some of that talk and talk about how great the 4-peat was, by the way, for the Oklahoma Sooners. First time,
and
tip of the cap to the Oklahoma Sooners.
And we'll probably be doing the media days, the SEC football in July. That will start.
Season 2 will officially wrap up. Season 2 will officially wrap up in just a few episodes, and then we will come back and do our summer week. That's what I called it last week. Our special summer editions, and then we will start season 3 at the very end of July. But it'll really start with our Power Conference previews in August.
Those are usually interesting.
This now. This will be our third.
Me and Brad can't wait for those, because
that'll be what we do in August is our Power Conference previews. We might even throw in, because we only have 4 this time. We've been doing 5 because the Pac-12. We might even throw in a mid-major and do a mid-major. The other conferences, the non-Power 5 conferences in football, and talk about teams, and throw Oregon State and Washington State in there now, and do a 5th show and cover some of those this time.
And usually those conference breakdowns they can get very interesting, because Brad's always got one he's really high on, and then they end up doing really well in the season, and we come back to it, and it's like, well, what happened? It's kind of interesting. But
just remember, bad moon rising.
Yeah, I hear you. I even think the SEC is going to be fun this year with adding Oklahoma and Texas. It's going to be a lot of fun.
It is. We got all new teams to add in, throw in here with the conferences and stuff. So that's what to look forward to with college SportsCast. That will be the fanboy specials for the kickoff show, and then we will dig in to our conferences, and we will probably do the 4 power conferences, and then we will do kind of a overview of the group of 5.
The group of 5, yeah.